Today, we'll be continuing our Resort Spotlight series with Disney's Old Key West Resort. Hello and welcome to the Let's Go to Disney podcast. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Lucy.
Today is Sunday, May 31st, and you're listening to episode 142, Resort Spotlight, Disney's Old Key West Resort. Before we get into today's main topic, here's what's going on in the parks right now. So Disney dropped quite a bit of news this week, and we're going to start with Carousel of Progress. So as many of you know, this is really a classic attraction. It was originally created for the 64-65 World's Fair, and after the fair was actually moved to Disneyland. It opened there in 67 with a few updates, including a refreshed final scene at the time. Then in 1975, it actually made its way to Walt Disney World, where obviously it still is to this day. During its tenure at Magic Kingdom, there actually been quite a few changes, including new scripts, like voice actors, time periods, and even like full scene updates throughout the years, including a new song for a while. And then they brought back the Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. And the way it currently is, it's been pretty much close to the same thing since 94. So last year, Disney announced that there would be a new scene featuring Walt that was going to be added to the attraction. They didn't say when that would be, but now Disney has announced that in addition to the Walt scene, Imagineers are also going to be updating all the scenes to new time periods to be kind of more in line with what the guests of today can relate to, if that makes sense. So Act 1 is going to be the 1960s. So when the attraction first opened, obviously 60 years back was like the turn of the century, but now 60 years back is the 60s, right? So that makes sense. Act 2 is going to be the 1980s. Act 3 is going to be the new millennium. So that's like obviously 2000, right? And then of course, Act 4 is going to be the possible future. A major update like this means an extended closure, obviously, right? So Carousel of Progress is going to close beginning on July 6th. That means that the last day to experience the attraction in its current form is going to be July 5th. And that's not set to reopen until sometime in 2027.
I love Carousel of Progress. I love going on it every single time.
For sure. And like, I'm split, right? So like, of course, I love the original, but I see the need or the want rather to update it. And it's like I said, right? It's not untouched. There have been changes through the years.
That's true.
It's just, this is the most recent, the most fresh, right? So everyone's like, don't change it. But it's like, it's been changed.
I think it'll be fun. And with Walt added to it, I think it'll be really exciting.
I think long term, right? It's going to be okay. Yeah, for sure. Disney has also shared an attraction map for the Art of Disney Animation. That's going to be where the Star Wars launch bay used to be. And this is set to open in phases, essentially. So the playground named Drawn to Wonderland. This is inspired by Alice in Wonderland, obviously. That's set to open soon. Then you're going to have Off the Page, which is where you're going to get to meet Disney friends, which are drawn to life in the Disney animation process. So that's going to be fun. The Olaf Draws experience, where you're going to learn how to draw Disney characters. That's going to be led by the lovable snowman,
That'll
right?
Be cute.
Yeah, I think he's going to be like an animatronic thing or on screen or whatnot. And then last but not least, the Once Upon a Time Studio Theater is going to show a screening of the short of the same name, right? That's the Oscar-winning short, which it has like a scene with Walt and Mickey that like tugs at the heartstrings.
Yes, it's a beautiful short story. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So all of that is set to open by late summer.
Disney also announced some major changes coming to the My Disney Experience app and the Walt Disney World website this year, all of which are intended to help guests navigate the app and website to easily plan their visits. This will include trip checklists, an AI-powered search function, and updated booking tools. We actually really love My Disney Experience app, and we use it constantly when we're on property. So anything that makes it better to use is a win in our books. And I already find it pretty user-friendly, so I'm sure it'll just be even better after this.
Yep.
And then on that note, Disney has partnered with AccuWeather to provide more accurate information for the Disney parks and destinations specifically, which is also including Walt Disney World, Disneyland Resort, Aulani in Hawaii, and Disney's Vero Beach and Hilton Head resorts. You will be able to filter specific parks at Walt Disney World to get ultra-specific forecasts. So that's actually really exciting because, as you know, it could be raining in Magic Kingdom and then completely sunny over at Animal Kingdom. We already use AccuWeather when we're in Walt Disney World because we do find that it is the most accurate. So this is awesome in our opinion.
Yeah, agreed.
So reminder that Cool Kids Summer has officially kicked off. And then over at Epcot, Soarin' has its overlay to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. And Goofy Corps is open over at Communicore Hall. And then over at Magic Kingdom, Jesse's Roundup, a rip-roaring review, is over at the Diamond Horseshoe. And then over at Hollywood Studios, the new Walt Disney Studios Courtyard is open. And that is what replaced the animation courtyard. And the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Live is also open at the soundstage over there. Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets is officially open to all guests, and Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run has its Mando and Grogu overlay officially. And then last but not least, the highly anticipated Bluey's Wild World at Conservation Station at Animal Kingdom is also officially welcoming all guests. And then a friendly reminder that Disney Resort guests all qualify for free water park admission on their check-in day from May 26th through to September 8th.
Yeah, that's right. And then over at Art of Animation, it's going to undergo major refurbishments starting in 2027. So on the chopping block, or rather the refurb block, the Little Mermaid rooms are going to get some much needed refreshes, which is awesome, right? And they're apparently going to get the Murphy beds, which everybody loves those, right? Or at least we do.
They work for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in Universal Orlando news, several months ago, Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure was finally added to Universal Express, which is awesome. But now Universal is walking that back, and starting on July 1st, it's going to be taken off Universal Express. That's a bummer if you paid the high price for Express Pass or are staying in one of the premier resorts. Only time is going to tell if this is eventually going to make its way back to the Express lineup. And this is apparently to alleviate some of the pressures, because I guess with the mix of the super popular standby queue and everybody qualifying for Express Pass or buying Express Pass is just, I guess, unbalanced.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And for us, it was a super busy weekend. So
when is it not, though?
Yeah. But yesterday afternoon, after Sophia was done dance class, we headed out to Saskatoon. Once we got in, we went to the race expo. So I ran the half marathon, the Sask half marathon this morning. But yesterday when we got in, we went to the race expo, picked up my bib, t-shirt, all that. Then we went for dinner. We checked into the hotel, let the kids swim for a bit. We were up bright and early.
Very bright and early. Yeah. Late night for the kids because they got into the pool a couple of times.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then, we were at the race probably around 6:30, I guess.
I think that's when we got there.
Race started at 7. It went really well. It wasn't a personal best for me, but I felt good.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a good experience at the Sask Marathon. Like Saskatoon, I think, does a really good job. It was very well organized. And then, after the race, we went back to the hotel, showered, checked out, and then we went for brunch and then made our way back to Regina. And then
the chaos of everything we couldn't get done.
So, Lucy was doing some prep. I did some vacuuming. Then I took Sophia to baseball.
And I went crazy. I got so much done in the hour and a half. My son was really awesome for me. He was just kind of doing his own thing and then had a shower and got himself ready because he's 11. And I was able to get so much done while he was at baseball with Sophia. So I felt good once they came back.
For sure. Our weekends are always busy, but when we go out of town, even just for 24 hours.
Throws us off.
Yeah, totally. With that said, let's get into today's main topic, which will be a resort spotlight of Disney's Old Key West Resort. So a couple of episodes ago, we covered Saratoga Springs, and Old Key West is located not far from Saratoga in that Disney Springs area of property. It's further from Disney Springs than Saratoga is, but having said that, it's still walkable to both Saratoga and by extension, Disney Springs. And again, just like Saratoga, proximity to Disney Springs is another big pro for this resort as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. Both of these resorts are very similar in that respect. Old Key West is the original DVC property for Disney, and it first opened its doors way back in 1991 with Phase 1. Originally, it was named Disney's Vacation Club Resort, and these initial villas would eventually become the Conch Flats area. And then in 1994, Phase 2 was completed, and the resort was officially and finally completed in 2000. It became Disney's Old Key West Resort right around the time when Vero Beach and Boardwalk Villas opened in October of 1995 and 1996, respectively. And then, like Oliver said, it is a huge resort and spread out over a large area.
Yeah, that's right. Now, given that it's a DVC resort, it is classified as a deluxe resort and comes with all of the associated perks, including extended evening hours, which is awesome. The theming of the resort is literally the Florida Keys, right? So it pulls its inspiration from that. Things like the vibes, the color palette, and that's just all from the Keys. Mm-hmm. So light pastel colors, light blue, green, pink with a lot of white accents and trim. Very beach vibes, I would say.
Exactly what you would picture with Old Key West.
Yeah, exactly. The resort sits on the Sassagoula River. So that's the same river that leads to the Port Orleans resorts, just a little bit further up. There's actually a lot of water all along the resort and the buildings, the guest rooms, I guess you could say. And then right at the back doors of the resort as well, there's a dock back there and palm trees. And it definitely has that relaxed vacation Keys vibe for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The entrance to the lobby features a long porte cochere area that actually stretches all the way to the back of the resort. It features light blue paint and exposed white beams, and it's actually super pretty and sets the tone of the entire resort right away. The lobby, which is named Hospitality House, is on your right when you first walk through the porte cochere. The lobby got a refresh in 2021, and it is super bright and airy in there. The floor is natural wood color, and the walls are a light blue color. The ceiling is kind of domed, and it's all white with exposed beams as well. There's also some beach artwork on the walls as well, and then the check-in desks are on the far right wall when you first walk in. And then on the other side of the lobby, you've got the Conch Flats General Store and Olivia's Cafe, which is the table service restaurant there.
Yeah, that's right. And then nearby is the Gurgling Suitcase, which is a lounge. Then you've got the community hall, goods, food to go, the electric eel game room, and then directly behind the main building, you've also got docks, like I was saying, and this is also where you're going to find the Hank Rent and Return, where you can get like boating equipment and things like this. And then just to the left of that, you've got the main pool area, a playground, a sand volleyball court, a tennis court, and a basketball court. Then back in front of the resort, across the drop-off area, you have the Hospitality House area buildings and guest rooms. If you keep going right when facing the resort, you're going to be following the Miller Road to the Miller Road area, which makes sense, right? This area has a ton of buildings and rooms, and they have their own bus stop as well, which makes sense. Although some rooms are definitely going to be closer to the Hospitality House bus stop, so just something to keep in mind depending, where you are in that Miller Road area. The buildings here actually do a big loop around and then come almost all the way to the back of the resort across the water from the docks we were mentioning earlier. So if you can imagine, it loops basically from the front of the resort all the way to the back.
Huge.
Yeah, huge area.
And then directly on the other side of the water at the back of the resort is the Peninsular Road buildings and guest rooms. And then if you keep going down that road and turn right, you'll be at the Old Turtle Pond Road, which leads to the Old Turtle Pond Road rooms. And this is a really large area as well. And then back on Peninsular Road, if you keep going straight, instead of turning on Old Turtle Pond, you're actually going to reach the South Point Road buildings and guest rooms. There are also pools in every area except for Hospitality House and Peninsular Road because they're actually closest to the lobby where the main pool is.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. And then again, this is a massive resort. It's spread out over a huge area. And with that, let's talk room categories. So the breakdown is actually super simple here. You have 2 room categories, which are deluxe studios or the villas. And under the villas category, you have 3 options. So the 1-bedroom villas, 2-bedroom villas, or the 3-bedroom grand villas. The deluxe studios have 2 queen beds and sleep up to 4 guests. Inside, the floor is carpet, which is the case in a lot of the DVC rooms in contrast to the regular guest rooms. So a lot of the regular guest rooms, it's, hardwood or like that tile that looks like hardwood. Whereas in the villas and the deluxe, well, I would say the villas, not necessarily the suites, but definitely the studios tend to have carpet more often than not. The walls in the studios are painted a light blue. The headboards are a dark wood color. And then you have a small table with 2 chairs and, of course, a patio or a balcony, depending on which floor you're on. Yeah,
that's right. And then you also have a dresser and a mounted TV. And because it's a DVC room, it has a little kitchenette that features a microwave, a sink, toaster, coffee maker, mini fridge, and plates, glasses, and utensils. The bathrooms here aren't as functional as some of the newer studios on property. It has a single toilet and shower tub combo, all in the same space. These are as low as $300 per night during low season, but can be as high as $600 during the busier times. The 1-bedroom villas sleep up to 5, and so that has 1 king bed, 1 queen-size sleeper sofa, and 1 twin-size sleeper chair. So these give you a ton more room. It's actually quite significant, more so than the other villas around property. The floor is a natural wood color. Walls are still blue. There's a huge living room area with a couch and a love seat, and then a full kitchen with an island, fridge, stove, and dishwasher. The TV is on the outside of the kitchen island, which is actually a pretty sleek way to save some space.
Yeah, that's right. There's also a washer and a dryer, right, which is awesome. The bathroom next to the washer and dryer has a stand-up shower, toilet, and single sink. There's also a connecting door that leads to the jetted tub with a second vanity, and there's actually a door to the bedroom here, so that all connects connecting doors, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The bedroom features a chair with an ottoman, TV as well, then the dresser, the king bed, and there's also a connecting room to the patio from the master. So essentially you can get to the patio or the balcony from the master as well, which is pretty cool. The 2-bedroom villas sleep up to 9, so they have 1 king bed, 2 queen beds, 1 queen-size sleeper sofa, and 1 twin-size sleeper chair. These all have the same amenities with obviously a second bedroom and even more space. And last but not least, the 3-bedroom grand villas sleep up to 12 with 1 king bed, 2 queens, 2 doubles, 1 queen sleeper sofa, and 1 twin size sleeper chair. So they can fit a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
These are massive, and yeah, like they could fit a couple families or a full multi-generational family. The 1-bedroom villas start around $600 a night during low season. The 2 bedrooms around $850, and the grand villas well over $1,000, all during low season, right? It goes up from there. But, you know, all things considered, for villas and studios on property, it's still not bad.
Yeah, and like $800 for a 2-bedroom villa, that's like standard room prices at Grand Floridian or Poly. So Old Key West is definitely budget friendly. Your dollars and your points will definitely go far here. And if you want deluxe perks at lower costs, Old Key West should definitely be on your list of resorts to consider for your vacation.
100%.
You're
absolutely.
definitely getting some good bang for your buck, in
definitely.
my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, next up, let's talk dining. So there's actually not very many options here, given how big and spread out the resort is. But much like Saratoga, it is a quick boat ride to Disney Springs, where there's obviously no shortage of options.
Exactly.
But if you do want to dine at Old Key West, in the main lobby, you have Olivia's Cafe. This is a table service restaurant with heavy nautical theming. The tile flooring has different colors. The walls are a light pastel color. The chairs are blue, which just gives it that kind of pop of color you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
There's also booth seating and outdoor seating here as well. And then the walls are lined with tons of fish and oars, mermaids, ship wheels, and other nautical artwork and art pieces. There's a ledge near the ceiling with a ton of props and fishing paraphernalia as well. It's actually kind of busy in here, but not in a bad way. It's very quaint and cute inside.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. It actually has really good food as well.
Mm-hmm.
They do a brunch and dinner. Their brunch menu features southernmost buttermilk chicken, banana bread, French toast, a few salad options, a bacon jam cheeseburger, the sombrero beach omelet, Olivia's breakfast, which is a classic breakfast served with buttermilk biscuits, the buttermilk pancakes and crab cake eggs Benedict, among a few other options. And the dinner menu features slow-cooked prime rib, mojo brine pork, mahi-mahi, West Indian tofu and coconut curry, Captain Wahoo's catch of the day, and the same bacon jam cheeseburger and southernmost buttermilk chicken that are on the brunch menu, among a few other options as well. You can also order to go from Olivia's, which is awesome. It's actually something you might do here because, yeah, the villas, like we were saying, have like full kitchens. So you could actually like set out at the table and have a full blown meal.
Totally could. Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, you know, as I'm saying that, I'm like, of course you can buy groceries and also cook your own food, right? But if you want to do
that,
if you want to do takeout from Olivia's, that's definitely something you can do. Yeah.
That's a nice option if you've already tucked the kids into bed and you're just looking to have a meal. One of you go and grabs it and you can still have a nice full meal.
Like a late night meal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then not far from here, you have the Gurgling Suitcase, which is a bar or a lounge. It's open every day from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. And you can also have lunch here as well. It is super small inside though, but there is some outdoor seating as well. Their menu features a spinach and artichoke dip, soup of the day, savory hush puppies, deep fried pickle chips, chips and guacamole, pulled pork nachos, and the bacon jam cheeseburger from Olivia's. And then, of course, it has a full bar with fun beachy cocktails as well. Not far from here, you also have Goods Food to Go, which is a grab and go counter. It's open all day from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., and it's basically a quick service location. So for breakfast, they have a breakfast platter, a breakfast wrap, Mickey-shaped waffles, a plant-based harvest breakfast wrap, cereal, oatmeal, grits, and then there's also a kid's breakfast platter and a kid's order of Mickey waffles. And then they also have a bunch of bakery options, pretzels, Uncrustables, fruit, and a few other options. And then for lunch and dinner, they have hot dogs, burgers, chicken strips, a few sandwich options, a plant-based burger and wrap, a couple of salad options, and then for kids, they have mac and cheese, chicken strips, and Uncrustables, and then again, a bunch of desserts, pastries, and snack options as well.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously, they have everything you could need here. Yeah. The funny thing is that it's like it's a quick service, but not because there's actually not a lot of seating. It's literally like a walk-up window.
And each resort, I always think of their quick service with tons of seating. Like
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
Yeah.
And then over in the Turtle Road area near the pool, you have the Turtle Shack Poolside Snacks. This is open daily from 11:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. They actually have a decent menu with a charcuterie and cheese plate, a foot-long chili cheese hot dog, pepperoni or cheese pizza, a power salad, a Caesar salad with chicken, a buttermilk chicken sandwich, a tuna salad sandwich, and the sunset vegetable wrap.
That's actually one of the better menus I've heard. By the
for
pool.
A pool bar, yeah, for sure. And then for snacks, they also have assorted fruit cups, assorted cookies, Mickey bars, and Mickey ice cream sandwiches. This place is nice if you're having kind of like a resort day and you don't want to make your way all the way back to Hospitality House, right?
Yeah,
To go to Goods
absolutely.
Foods or Gurgling Suitcase or whatever, right? You can just have some food here for sure. Yeah. And another thing we should actually mention quickly is that the Conch Flats General Store has actually a pretty decent grocery section. It's definitely, I would say, more substantial than even some of the other DVC resorts on property. They have like, dried and frozen goods, like think like Eggos and frozen pizzas and things like that. And then of course, like bread, cereal, milk, coffee cream, spreads. You can actually find a lot here and take it back to your resort.
Which is nice with those full kitchens. Like you can easily pop in a pizza at midnight if you want to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then honestly, that's actually pretty much it for dining, which really isn't a whole lot of options. But like we said, thankfully, Disney Springs is not too far away, and you're going to be able to find something there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is no lacking of options there. All right, next up, let's talk pools and recreation. So the main pool area is just behind the main lobby area. It's called the Sandcastle Pool, and it features a 125-foot long water slide through a giant sandcastle, and it also has a sand beach. There are decorative dolphins in the pool that spout water, which is fun for the littles. It's actually pretty big at 149,600 gallons. There's also a whirlpool spa and a kiddie pool for the little ones. And then there's also 3 leisure pools. Each of them have their own whirlpool spas, and they are located at Old Turtle Pond, South Point, and Miller's Road sections. These are definitely they've got that more relaxed vibe if you're looking to just lounge the day away.
Yeah.
Your kids may not have as much fun at this one unless they just
No, they're probably going to want to go to the
they're going to want to go to
Sandcastle.
the big one. So this is a good one if you don't have kids and you just want to chill.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, no surprises. Like all other resorts, there are nightly campfires from 6 to 7 p.m. At least that's what's listed on their website as of this moment. But I would check with the front desk if you have a stay here in the next couple of months, because it could definitely be later with the sun going down later, right? It's the beginning of summer after all.
Yeah.
But either way, this is by the Sandcastle Pool and the tennis courts. Complimentary marshmallows as always, and s'mores kits for a fee. There are also movies under the stars. On Sundays, it's Aladdin. Tuesdays, it's Zootopia 1 or 2. Thursdays is Moana, and Saturdays, it's Freaky Friday. It's funny that it's not on Friday, but yeah. There are also daily poolside activities at the Sandcastle Pool between noon and 2 p.m. The Sandcastle Pool also hosts the Disney Fit Aqua Fitness on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. The community hall inside Hospitality House is open daily from 10 to 10. So you can make crafts here, play complimentary foosball, pool, video games, ping pong, like shuffleboard. You can also check out equipment here for like the tennis courts, basketball, volleyball, like balls and whatnot, right? Community Hall also hosts the Conch Crazy Bingo on Wednesdays and Fridays from 8 to 9 p.m. And then just outside of Community Hall, you can make a Mickey tie-dye shirt every day but Wednesdays from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m.
There's also nighttime trivia on Mondays at Papa's Den near the lobby from 8 to 9 p.m. You can also make mosaics on Wednesday at 3 p.m. here. And the resort also hosts a sunset celebration on Fridays at sunset, which is inspired by the festival of watching the sun sink into the Gulf at the Mallory Square in Key West. There are family-friendly activities and more during the event as well. And then for fitness, there's yoga on Mondays at 9 a.m. near the Sandcastle Pool, a pickleball clinic at the tennis courts on Thursdays at 9:30 a.m., and bike rentals at Hank's Rent and Return daily from 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And there's also the Old Key West exercise room, which is the gym, if you want to get a workout in.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like we said earlier, there's volleyball courts, tennis courts, basketball courts, bike and Surrey bike rentals, beautiful walking and running trails, and fishing. So we say this all the time, but like all the Disney resorts, there is a lot going on here if you're going to have a resort day and not heading into the parks. You pay good money for these resorts. Utilize the stuff that is there for you. And we actually forgot to mention earlier, too, when we spoke about the food at the Conch Flats General Store, it also has your usual Disney merch and specific Old Key West merch and DVC merch as well.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Now, let's get into location and transportation. So like we said earlier, it's in the Disney Springs area of property. Lake Buena Vista is the lake at Disney Springs, and the river that stems from the lake is the Sasagula River, which forks either towards the Port Orleans Resort further away or towards Old Key West.
I absolutely love the Sasagula River.
Yeah.
I find it so pretty to walk
It
around.
is very, very
Sorry,
pretty.
Just
Absolutely.
had to add that.
No, you're definitely right. Yeah. It is walkable to Saratoga, like we were saying earlier, and Disney Springs by extension, but it's not a short walk, okay? So you're walking a good 30 minutes at least, if not significantly more, depending on what your starting point is to get to Disney Springs, okay? So it's not nothing. There is a boat available to Disney Springs if you prefer, which is quite nice.
Yep.
And then, of course, failing that, the buses are there as well. For the parks, it's buses. There is no other way to get to the parks from Old Key West. It's just what it is. There are 5 bus stops. Peninsula Road, Old Turtle Pond Road, South Point Road, Millers Road, and then Hospitality House, right? Which makes sense. Hospitality House being the final pickup stop before leaving for the parks. Disney Springs buses stop at Hospitality House first and then loop through the resort, right? With Millers Road being the last stop to leave the resort for Disney Springs. They always reverse order for Disney Springs for whatever reason. Yep.
And you know our take on buses. They are definitely not a deal breaker for us. Even these resorts with several stops, in our experience, it's totally fine. It doesn't impact your ability to get to rope drop in the morning, and buses come frequently, so you're never having to wait too long.
Yeah, that's right. And I find what we found actually at trip over trip is that if your resort is further away or if you have multiple stops like that, the buses are going to come earlier to account for that.
Always.
So it's not going to make you late.
They're timing it.
Exactly. Yeah. The bus just gets there earlier.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now for the pros and cons. So pros are very similar to Saratoga Springs. The rooms are very spacious here, especially for the villas, and they have so much space when compared to some of the other villas on property. Rack room rates here are nowhere near as expensive as some of the other DVC and deluxe resorts on property, especially when you compare it to the Magic Kingdom and Epcot area resorts. You'll definitely get way more bang for your buck here. Plus, Disney Springs is nearby, which opens up a ton of dining options, and the proximity is hard to beat if you plan on spending a lot of time at Disney Springs.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of the same pros as Saratoga, right?
Absolutely.
And then for the cons, if you're averse to big and sprawling resorts, there's just no doubt that this is a massive resort. So that's just the reality. And like the other big resorts on property, right? Depending on which area of the resort you're located at, you could be a very far walk from Hospitality House, which again, that has the sandcastle pool, right? Which is the big pool with the slide.
Yep.
And most of the dining options. And again, that internal bus loop, right? We know that's a hard pass for some folks, but it is the reality of choosing a resort like Old Key West. There's also no overt Disney theming here. It's pretty subtle. The deluxe studios are just okay in our opinion. The layout and the washroom specifically is not as functional as some of the newer villas, like we were saying earlier. And much like Saratoga Springs, the vibes here are relaxed. You're kind of out of the way, right? And away from the action of the parks. It's not going to be as hectic as some of the other resorts like, Art of Animation or Caribbean Beach. It definitely has more chill vibes, yes. Right? Which could be a pro. It could be exactly what you're going for. But if you want to be like in the middle of the action or right on the Skyliner and have like, super quick access to, like Epcot and Hollywood Studios, Caribbean Beach is awesome for that.
This one, not so much.
That's the trade-off, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our final thoughts, would we recommend this resort? Absolutely. Especially if you have a larger group and you're needing a lot more space, you can get a 1-bedroom villa for almost the same price as a family suite at Art of Animation with deluxe perks and then more elevated accommodations. If we were traveling with my parents or my sister, we would definitely consider a room here or at Saratoga for the extra space at a lower price point, but still staying on Disney property, which is important to us.
Yeah. Like let's say we were to travel with like your sister or let's say even my sister and her husband. Yeah. If we were to stay like in something like a 2-bedroom villa split between 2 families, it's not so bad, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. My sister has 2 kids and there's always been a goal of mine to get all 9 of us that's including my parents there. And that would that 12-person one is perfect.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. What we will say, though, is that if you were looking at a studio, we'd say you'd probably be better off at Saratoga or some of the other resorts on property. These just haven't wowed us, right? And it wouldn't necessarily be our first choice when it comes to a studio. But overall, great resort, beautiful grounds, and it's definitely worth coming to just walk around if nothing else.
Agreed.
With that said, thank you for joining us today to talk Disney's Old Key West Resort. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And as always, if you could leave us a rating and review, it would be greatly appreciated. If you choose to do so, you can leave reviews right on Apple Podcasts. And for Spotify, you can leave a rating.
You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Let's Go.to-Disney, as well as on our Facebook page, Let's Go to Disney. We share some helpful reels here as well as some fun ones. The link tree in the show notes will take you to all of our socials.
Have a great day and we'll see you real soon.